Hello there and welcome. This is Jennifer. I'm so glad you're here. Today I am sharing with you ideas for using up your glitter. I feel like all crafters have some glitter in their stash somewhere, so I thought I would share some fun ways to use them. I've done a glitter video in the past. I'll link to it up here in the top right if you want more ideas. But today is really about using glitter on a background and creating it in a way that isn't too messy. Before we get started, I do want to mention that I know many people have an issue with using glitter because it is not great for the environment. I totally understand. Hero Arts does have earth-safe glitter available. It's non-toxic and biodegradable. So if you're looking for new glitter, this is a great option. I am not using it today because I still have a lot of glitter back from when I started crafting, and I still want to put that to good use. But if you're looking to buy glitter, check out this from Hero Arts. They're silver, gold, and clear. All right, let's get started. Now, I have two cards featuring this daffodil frame where I do a glitter background, but I use two different techniques. Two very different looks. On both of them, I'm using the Spellbinders Daffodil Frame die set. You've got the daffodil frame, a rectangle to cut out the outside, and then these layering dies so you can build up a layered look. This would be great for a shaker card or window card, but I am using it with a glitter background. I also have Altenew double-sided adhesive sheet. I really like this adhesive because it die cuts nicely, but it's also thick enough that it'll hold on to glitter. Any double-sided adhesive sheet that has a little thickness to it would work. I'm placing a piece of it onto white cardstock, and then I will use that outside rectangle die to cut that out. So I have adhesive on the front of this white cardstock piece. I use the daffodil frame dies to cut from gold cardstock, Simon Says Stamp gold cardstock, and I'm placing that right onto the exposed adhesive. So right now, anywhere that you see white, that's exposed adhesive. To really press that gold die cut into the adhesive, I'm laying the release paper that we took off onto it and then pressing it with a bone folder. So now all of that white exposed area has adhesive, and we're going to add glitter to it. I'm using an older product called Glitter Ritz. I'm not even sure if it's still available, but any glitter would work here. I do prefer a finer glitter because it sticks better and is less likely to rub off, but you could definitely use any glitter you have on hand. I'm pouring that over the exposed adhesive, and I'm using a little hot dog holder. I feel like that's an easy thing to catch the glitter and then funnel it back into the jar. I'll link to those below. Now here is the trick to making sure your glitter does not rub off your project. You take the release paper from before and you use that to really press into the glitter and make sure you're pushing that glitter into that double-sided adhesive sheet. It will grab a hold of it, making sure that it doesn't rub off later on. Then I take a Swiffer dusting cloth and I just cut a little piece from it and I rub that back and forth over the project to make sure I take off any of the glitter that is loose. I then can use that same piece to clean up any glitter off of my hands and my work surface. And there we have a glitter mess-free technique. This really gives a beautiful result. I love this kind of champagne glitter with the gold foil around it. I will share a more colorful version of this next. But let's finish this one off. I used the detail layering dies included in the daffodil frame die set to cut more pieces from gold cardstock, and I'm gluing those on top. There are so many ways you can use this particular die set because of the design. As I mentioned, you can do a shaker window, you can do a window card. You could cut all of these pieces from white cardstock and use markers to add color to them, or you can cut them from colored cardstock and layer them together. I think it's a beautiful image that works great on an A2 card, A7 card, or mini slimline. You'll see that next. All right, now let's do the background of this card. I wanted to keep it nice and clean with a white background, but I also wanted to add a bit more shine. So let's do those gold stripes. I'm using the new Spellbinders Modern Stripes hot foil plates. There are 3 different size stripes, which really gives a fun option. You can use this to do a stripe background, a plaid, but here I'm just doing some simple stripes. I'm also using my Spellbinders Glimmer foil machine, but you could use any foil machine that you may have. I'm using a piece of tape to create a hinge. I'll then flip up my hot foil plate and slide in some Spellbinders gold matte foil so that the pretty side of the foil touches the pretty side of the plate. I'll flip this over and put it on my warmed up Glimmer machine and then put the 2 plates on top. I'll press the timer button, and when the timer stops flashing, I'll take all of those plates out and run it through my Spellbinders Platinum die cut machine. If you have a different die cut machine, I would check with the manufacturer to see which foil machine will work for you. If you're not into foiling, but you like the look of these hot foil plates, you can also make an impression with them instead, and I'll link to a video that shows that technique up here on the top right. You could also create stripes with a gold gel pen if you prefer. All right, so let's go ahead and remove this. I can save that foil for a reverse technique later on. And there we have just some gold stripe detail that I think is just beautiful. All right, now for a sentiment. I'm using the new Spellbinders must-have sentiment hot foil plate and die set. And I'll tell you, I do agree, it is a must-have. I really like the style of these. You'll see later in this video, I made a boatload of these with different foiling options, so stay tuned for that. But here I'm again using white cardstock and matte gold foil. I'll run that through my Glimmer machine, doing the same process of heating it up, running it through the die cut machine for pressure, and look at that beautiful result. I just love it. Now this negative piece I can save and do reverse foiling. I'll link to a video up here on the top right that shows how to do that. It's a great way to get more from your foiling. But here I'm going to use the coordinating die to cut out the foiled sentiments that we have. And now look at all of these sentiments, perfectly positioned and ready to go for multiple cards. Now I wasn't sure at this point if I wanted to have white cardstock with gold foiling or gold cardstock with white foiling. So I thought I'd go ahead and create both and use whatever I want on this card and then save the others for later. So here I have gold cardstock and I'm placing my foil plate on it, and I'm using opaque white Glimmer foil from Spellbinders, and I will foil this way. This will give me white letters on gold, whereas what we just created a few moments ago was gold letters on white. So now we have both options. And believe it or not, foiling works best on smooth surfaces, and glossy cardstock like this is very smooth. So now I have both of the options, and again I can save the negative for reverse foiling later on. So look at this. Okay, I have lots I did here. Let me just show you these before we move on. This is black glossy cardstock with white foil. Look how it presses into that cardstock, giving kind of a letterpress foiled look that's just gorgeous. And here you can see all the other ones I made. I just went ahead and did these as I was creating today, so I have them ready to go for future cards, and I have lots of options that I can use in today's video. Okay, back to our card. I chose to use the thank you sentiment, so I cut 2 additional thank you die cuts from white cardstock to glue on the back of our foiled sentiment, just so it's nice and strong. It will be halfway over our card and halfway over that raised die cut that we created with the daffodils, so I want it to be strong so it doesn't get squished in the mail. I put foam squares on the back left and liquid adhesive on the back right so that it would lay nicely across the front. So at this point, I thought I wanted the gold glossy cardstock with the white foiling, but I really wasn't sure. So I took a picture of it this way and the other option, which was white with gold foil. And I sent it to my crafty friend, Heather. I will link to her YouTube channel up here on the top right. She's my go-to. Like, we'll send each other pictures of kind of a layout of a card and we'll say, which do you like better? And we always answer, and it makes it so much easier than like just overthinking a card design. Just reach out to a crafty friend for a suggestion. And she suggested white with gold. So I switched it and I'm happier with it. I feel like it stands out a bit more this way. So when in doubt, reach out to a crafty friend. So here is the completed card. I love that kind of champagne looking glitter with the bright gold lifted up off of it, the gold cardstock. And then we have the gold foiling to go with it. This would be a good option for a wedding or anniversary card or sympathy. I like that it's all white and gold, but you could definitely do this with colors. You could use a colored glitter if you prefer. Now, if you want a more traditional looking card using the same die set, that's what I'm going to cover next. And I'll show you a fun way to turn clear glitter into colored glitter, whatever colors you want. I have a piece of white cardstock and I'm just applying a rough amount of light blue ink, a little bit heavier in some areas, a little bit lighter in other areas. You do not have to blend this well. You could do any kind of inking here. You could start with colored cardstock if you prefer. You could do a rainbow, which you'll see me do in my next example, but really I'm just putting some color down on here. I wanted kind of a soft, uneven blue sky for the back of this. All right, once I'm done with that, I'll set it aside to dry. And here I have a white daffodil die cut. And I'm using a green marker to apply green to all of the stems and the leaves. I thought this was the easiest way to apply that darker green color. We'll add other colors to this later on. Now, before we add the glitter to our background, I want to heat set this and make sure that this ink is completely dry. We're going to put adhesive on the top of this, and adhesive does not like to stick to wet ink. So I dried it with my heat gun, and now I'm putting a piece of that Altenew double-sided adhesive onto the inked surface. And then I will use that same rectangle die that comes with the daffodil frame die set to cut right from the front. So what we'll end up with is that blue inked piece with adhesive on top of the blue inking. That way we can add clear glitter to it and the glitter will look like blue glitter. Now, if you have lots of colors of glitter, you could definitely just use colored glitter, but this is a great option if you just have a basic clear and want to add the color. So I removed the release paper and I'm pressing our daffodil frame on top. I will make sure that that's adhered well by using the release paper to press down. If I use my finger, it would just stick in the exposed adhesive, so using the release paper is very handy. Now here I have a Lawn Fawn Prisma glitter. This is a great sparkly glitter, a basic go-to. I got a couple jars of these years ago and I've still been using them. I'm sprinkling that onto the exposed adhesive on that blue background, and then I will press all that down using the release paper. By using the release paper, my finger won't get stuck to any exposed adhesive if there is any, and I won't get glitter all over my hands. Once I've really pressed that into the adhesive, I will use a Swiffer dusting cloth to remove any of the excess glitter, and it keeps it from being a mess. And there you can see how I have that variation of blue looking glitter in the background, thanks to the inking we did behind it. Now for the blooms themselves, I cut those additional layering daffodil dies from yellow and light orange cardstock, and I'm just gluing those right on top of the white portion of our frame. And I did build up a few layers. I really like the look of those built up layers, but you could skip it if you want. I also die cut the extra leaves from a lighter green cardstock and layered that on top. All right, now for that note card, notice there are some embossed dots on the background. I've mentioned this before. One of my favorite embossing folders is the Spellbinders Puff Dotty 3D embossing folder. It works with whatever die cut machine you have, and it's great because it's big, so you can use it on anything from an A2 card to a slimline card. Here I'm doing a mini slimline card. So I used white cardstock for that, and I cut it to 3 1/4 by 6 1/4. To adhere it to my card, I'm using double-sided adhesive sheet, the same one I used for the glitter. The reason I'm using that is with all the texture on this, I want to make sure it really adheres. So by using a full sheet of adhesive, I will be sure it will stay stuck and I don't have to worry about it coming undone. I glued it to a mini slimline note card that is 3 1/4 by 6 1/4 inches, side folding, and then I added my daffodil frame right at the center. That Thinking of You was done with black foil using the must-have sentiments that I showed you earlier on white cardstock. And by the way, the black foil comes in a set with the white foil. It's a must-have if you have a foil machine. And here you can see that beautiful glitter background. I wish you could see the sparkle in real life. Video does it no justice. I don't have natural light in my room right now, so it doesn't show very well. But trust me, the glitter is beautiful in real life, and this is a great way to put it to good use. So I really like this idea of color behind clear glitter to make it look like you have colored glitter. So I wanted to share another version of that. This time we're doing a rainbow background. I'm using Concord and Ninth ink here, but you could use whatever inks you want. And I'm just blending a pink color, a yellow color, and a green color. And I'm making sure to overlap those colors. And wherever I overlap, I get another color. So where the pink overlaps the yellow, I get orange. Where the yellow overlaps the green, I get a lime color. And it gives an effortless rainbow look. Now, I'm not taking much time to make a perfect blend. You don't need to for this technique. That's the best part about it. But I am going to give it some time to dry. In the meantime, I have the Zig Zag Chevron Die set from Spellbinders. And I'll be using that on top of our glitter background. I'll use the outside frame die to cut from our blended background. And then I'm covering that with double-sided adhesive once again. So the nice thing about this double-sided adhesive is it's clear, so you'll be able to see the color through. Then I'll remove the release paper and I'll take a white die cut that I created using that Chevron die set and I'll place it right onto the exposed adhesive. Now there is still some adhesive exposed. Anywhere you see color is exposed adhesive, and that's where we will add our glitter. Once again, I'm using the Lawn Fawn Prisma glitter. Any clear glitter will work. I'll sprinkle all of that on and then use that release paper to really press it into the double-sided adhesive. By the way, if you do not like working with loose glitter, but you like the look of glitter, glitter gel or glitter paste or glitter glazes are always a good option. All right, so now I could leave this background as is, but you know me, I like to build up those layers. So I die cut another white die cut to lay on top of that. So I glued it right on top of the one we've already done for additional dimension. Don't ask me why I didn't use the frame die to cut it out. I just didn't think of it at the time. So that's why I cut it by hand. I then die cut 2 more of the chevron frames, glued those together, and now I'm gluing that on top of our card but rotated 180 degrees. And that way I get this fun overlap look. When I glued this onto my note card, I noticed that my card was sticking out the side a bit, so I'm using my Spellbinders Pro Shears scissors to trim that off. I love these scissors, and Lila heard me talk about how much I love them, so she took them into her slime room where she makes slime, and she had them in there, so I bought another pair, and I finally have a pair in my craft room again. Highly recommend them. Now for sentiment, I am using the Brutus Monroe You Are My Sunshine die set. I cut the shadow from white and the letters themselves from black glossy cardstock, and I assembled that on the front of our card. I also added some honeybee confetti for a bit of sparkle. Now again, I wish you could see this in real life. The colorful sparkly background is gorgeous. Doesn't capture in the video, but I promise you it is beautiful and definitely a great way to use your clear glitter. And by the way, this card is extra fun for me because I'm using products from 3 of my favorite crafty dudes. We have Greg from Concord and Ninth. I used his inks for the background. We have Christopher Allen from Brutus Monroe. That's where the sentiment is from. And then that background die and the other dies I've used today are from Simon Hurley at Spellbinders. So I think that's a fun thing that I use 3 crafty dude products on this card. All right, there you have it. Some ways you can use up your glitter to get new looks. I hope you'll try these. I will link here at the end to a couple other ideas for using up glitter, and I will link to the supplies that I use below in my description. Thanks for spending this time with me. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon.